Okay, let's have another game on the 15-minute time control. Let's have a look at a few GM games while we're waiting, maybe. Gustanov, he's not playing. I think Ultra Lisk, he's playing. Ultra Lisk. If we observe. We've got a game. Stop that observation window. Okay, maybe King's Engine against Kubiyak or something. So Kubiyak 1905. He was up to 1999 towards the end of December, 14th December. We're playing King's Engine. We've seen enough Fianchetto games from the Geller games last night. So I'll play it with a knight bd6, knight bd7 e5 plan, try and get c5 if he does commit d4, which probably he won't. But it'd be nice if we played d4, then we'd start to go into a King's Engine rather than English opening. Okay, I'll play e5 here then. I could just play h6, I think. Knight h7, f5. Try and get the king side going. Okay, queenside attack. About knight h5, is that more aggressive? Knight h7. Play for knight h5, I think. So for f5, and e4 might become a threat at the moment. He has to protect that. Okay, he's closing up. If I play takes, he's got knight e5. Bishop e5 there on c3. So maybe that's possible to play f5. I could try and play f5 here. If knight e5 is not really on. If I get that move f4 in, that looks pretty juicy to me. This looks wrong a bit, this e4 and c4 business. Got point on d4. f4 would be looking great. So don't know if fe is worth considering here. f4 might be g4. Knight f6. You could play g5 or h3 there. g5 actually, I think he's disconnecting his pawns a lot after. Even if I sacked a pawn, it would be good for getting f4 control maybe. It wouldn't even be sacking a pawn, bishop would be blocked in actually. So the question here is, the first question, actually what about exploiting with knight h4, this loose knight? Then king h7. It's almost got bishop f3. Whoops. Knight f6 maybe to defend f5, g6 and h5. Okay. Right. So, knight h4 or e takes maybe on the cards here. E takes, g takes, knight h4 on the knight. I can play knight f6 there. Knight g6, there's rook f7. So So 11 minutes, he can't spend more than a minute a move, he'd only be able to play 11 moves from here. So this is a deep think, really. Okay, so going on to this. So is this knight exploitable or not? Knight h4, knight f6. This one to f6. Otherwise, knight f6 is knight f5. No compensation, I think. Okay, can I not just evict that with c6? I can't see a problem with c6. So I'll play it. d6 is shielded with his d pawn. Knight f4 comes into mind here. Andrew knight takes f4. Have I just blundered? Knight f6. Takes knight g6, rook f7. Knight f4 you can just take with the knight here. It's enough to take with the pawn. Knight f6 here I lose f5, so I'm virtually forced, I think, for knight f6. That's unfortunate. Unless c takes, queen h5. So not believing him, knight f6. Hits the queen. Mind you, there's always bishop d5s. So I think I'm virtually forced to do this. Not pleasant. Missed knight h4. Should I be slowing down here? Imminent danger. Or is it? The knight's rescued from the edge of the board. Okay. The queen can't come into the light squares just yet, but he's on these light squares. Okay. That's c5, just trying to lock down d4 at least. Avoid the b file opening up. I think c5 might be okay. I'll play that c5. So what's cooking here? I've got maybe f4 takes knight g4 this time. Put an attack on the knight. Knight moves. Is f4 worth considering? Pawn sack. Knight f3. Okay. What does he play here? Interesting. It's got some pressure on the position. Bishop along the diagonal. Knight on these two. At the moment, knight g6 is not such a serious threat, it would seem, because of rook f7. d4 is clamped down on, so that's a kind of weakness that I have to look forward to later. f4 seems to be a dynamic possibility. Takes knight g4. What would happen after that? Maybe just knight g6, rook f7. What about rook f6? Rook f6 might be stronger. If he tries to stop f4, there's a dynamic possibility. Say he plays f4. Maybe e4 is possible. Take, stretch the scope of the bishop. That's kind of currently blocked in. That's another point about f4. Here it might be good, even if it doesn't get to the king, it just extends the bishop. Okay. Wow, is he going to get in time pressure at this rate of play? It's about a minute a move again, so we're only on move 15. So 7 minute 35. So if he takes like a minute a move, there'll only be like 7 moves. So he's going to have to speed up here. Okay. I wouldn't have thought there's too many dynamic options for white to look in great depth at. I mean, bishop d5 check, I can just take. Takes. Is that worth deep thoughts? Is b6 worth deep thought? I can just take on a2. I can play rook a6 if needed. So we've only got really this aggressive knight to think about. I don't know, rook e1 doesn't really do anything except if f4 wouldn't be that effective. Wow, okay. He's going to weaken his light squares strategically with that move, although it does look like an interesting move. Knight g4 actually does knight f5. Bishop f5, bishop g4. So f4. Get rid of the light square bishop, get my queen onto h3. Looks okay to me. He's just weakening his king, surely. Get my queen to h3. I don't mind losing the pawn. Planning that anyway. Bonus. Just got rid of the light square bishop. Okay, so queen h3 here. Fe, knight g4. With queen f3, queen h4. So I'm on the knight. Knight g6, knight g4. What else? Knight f3, knight g4. It takes rook f3. I mean, this is dangerous. He's self-destructed with this move bishop h3, which he took so long to think about. It's just strategically it's not great, even if the calculation seemed to be supporting bishop h3. It's pretty dangerous always to lose your defensive bishop. So in a way I feel under far less pressure than the previous game at the moment. I've got a nice attacking position against the king rather than passively defending a c-file like the previous game. And this f-file pressure could be quite handy. But basically, you know, knight f3, knight g4. How does he uninstall my pieces around his king? Looks dangerous. Okay, and also time pressure now. If he's going really at a minute a move, we're talking 5 moves at a minute a move here. Maximum. Okay, again, now he's coming into time pressure. Much easier game than the previous game versus the 1400. It's strange. It seems easier. Knight g6, I don't know, you know, just knight g4. I mean, how does he defend? Knight e7 check doesn't do anything, just in case. I just play king h7. If the rook moves, you know, just take on h2 and mate. He's just resigned. Oh dear. Okay, I'll say thanks. I'll just quit. Alright, he's just resigned here. Okay, that was yeah. So sometimes, I don't know, when opponents take a long time, it doesn't guarantee a great move. But here, yeah, okay, an in-between move, which seems useful. That seemed good as well in some way. But this, I wanted to play f4 anyway. Okay. So an easier game than the previous game. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.